Okay, good morning, everyone. Looks like the number of people logging in is slowing down a little bit, so I think we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all for attending today and welcome. My name is Brad Jones, Scalable Account Director. Due to the number of participants today, we have muted all of the lines for now, so you're in listen-only mode. However, if you have questions or comments, please submit them through the GoToWebinar window, and we will address them as they come in. So joining me today is Jeff Wober. He's our WinINSTALL sales engineer, and also Kelly Dana, WinINSTALL support consultant. And so today's session is the first in a series of training and best practices seminars that we intend to schedule on an ongoing basis. And frankly, based on the number of participants we have today, we will definitely be doing this in the future and more frequently. Today's agenda will consist of a quick overview of Scalable and the solutions we provide, and then we'll jump into the training discussion. We should have some time at the end to answer any questions if we don't have a chance to cover them during the discussion. So with that said, we'll go ahead and get started. While some of you are longtime users of WinINSTALL, others may be fairly new to WinINSTALL and/or Scalable. So I'd like to spend a couple of minutes providing a recap of who we are and what problems we solve. So Scalable is a global company, and we pride ourselves on introducing innovative solutions to the marketplace. We currently have over 500 customers around the world and continue to add to that base each year. And the key focus for us is customer value, whether that's in the technical support and knowledge base we share or the real-world problems that our solutions address. Our purpose is to drive customer value. So in addition to WinINSTALL, Scalable does offer several other IT asset management solutions under the Asset Vision platform. And these cloud-based tools are currently broken out into 4 product groups or modules, if you will. So I wanted to spend a few minutes just familiarizing you guys with what these solutions entail. Again, Asset Vision is a cloud-based solution. So Asset Vision Registry is a repository for all hardware and software assets with intelligent agentless discovery capabilities. With the ability to import non-discoverable asset data like asset tags or department names, etc., it does truly become a central source for all your IT assets. And one point I will make is these are standalone modules, but also because they're all on the same platform and would utilize the same database, they are obviously able to be used together and in order to become one whole solution. So I'll kind of go through these separately, but keep in mind that these are integrated into form one overall solution as well. So that covers registry. Asset Vision Optimize includes application usage intelligence for both executables and web-based applications. They go along with the asset inventory data included with registry. So now you know what is installed and then how it's being used. Asset Vision License Manager allows for automated compliance calculation and analysis of license entitlements against your installations. So once your entitlements, like a Microsoft licensing statement or Adobe licensing statement, are loaded into the system, the calculations can be run against the assets that are discovered, whether that's with registry or another data source like SSCM that can be imported into the tool set. Asset Vision Manage is our endpoint device management tool. So currently it supports iOS devices only, but additional operating systems are under development as we speak. And by the end of Q2 of 2014, so next year, we expect to have the majority of WinINSTALL capabilities actually available in the Asset Vision Manage platform. So for our customers that are on the Lifecycle management suite of WinINSTALL, we're actually making this tool available as part of your maintenance agreement. So if you have iOS devices and would like to try it out now, we can accommodate that. Or you're interested in migrating once the Windows capabilities are added, later this year, early next year, then just let me know and we can discuss that further. So sometime in the very near future, you'll be able to, with this platform, be able to discover, inventory, manage, and rationalize all of your IT assets from a single console, a single database, and a single cloud-based platform. And it truly has incredible reporting flexibility in there as well. So we're really excited about the power and intelligence that can be achieved with these solutions. One additional comment that I will make is for current WinINSTALL customers, you are eligible for additional discounts on these Asset Vision tools, regardless of whether you're a desktop management suite or a lifecycle management suite customer. Because you are an existing customer, you will get aggressive discounts for these additional tool sets. So again, if you have any specific questions, would like to discuss these in more detail or view a demo, please reach out to me and I'll follow up. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the WinINSTALL specific portion here. Jeff Wober will be leading this discussion. And just as a quick reminder as we jump into this, we have released a new version, 10.10.3, so that is the latest version for WinINSTALL for both the LMS as well as DMS suites, and it's available for download. It does require a new license key, but just let me know when you're ready to upgrade, and I can provide those download links as well as a new key when you are ready. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jeff.
All right. There it is. All right. Hi, everybody. I am Jeff Wober. Looking through the names of the attendees, I'm sure some of you guys have talked to me before. What I want to do is I just want to go over the product and kind of show off some of the positive responses that I've gotten talking to some of our existing customers. A lot of times we get feedbacks like, wow, I didn't know WinINSTALL can do that. And I do want to focus on some of those types of tricks in this webinar and hopefully make your time useful. I see that we have an amazing turnout, so I'm very excited to do this. First off, I want to start out with our new Smart Package Professional. Everyone is entitled to a license key. It comes with WinINSTALL. But this is where we have placed most of our efforts when we're adding new features to WinINSTALL. Most of our focus has been on this product. If you've already downloaded, make sure that you are running version 1.07 or later. Version 1.7 was a major upgrade, and at that point, I feel that we have a very stable and a very good product. That was when we started handling the assemblies, the Visual C++ runtime stuff, which I'm sure some of you guys have run across. Anyway, that is now in the product, and it's 1.7, and I just want to go through and I'll walk you guys through discovering a package real fast, just for those of you who are not familiar with this particular product. Basically, this is a discovery tool that we have written from the ground up based off of your feedback. What we've gotten is a tool that for people that don't package every day is kind of the aim and the focus that we were going for. Somebody that just needs a tool to package up an app fairly quickly and then deploy it out on their network without having a huge learning curve. And this is what we came up with. It's literally a three-step process. You would say next, give the package a name, and today we're going to do Adobe Acrobat because it's free and it's an MSI. And then we'll say next. All you do is hit Start Discover. There's no more snapshots like our legacy product. Now it's an event-based monitoring system where we're going to log all the events on that machine. Once that's finished, you hit Stop Discovery, and then we give you an MSI. Literally 3 steps. Now, because this is a demo and I have your attention, I do want to come back a little bit and kind of show off the bells and whistles and kind of explain why this is such a great product, and then and also some tricks that you can go through if it doesn't exactly turn out an MSI like you'd like. So I'm going to select the advanced options. I'll say next, and then you can see here's some of our standard options. Such as compressed, an MSI package, what MSI schema that you want, etc. Normal stuff, but the big one is here, this packaging mode. You can see that by default it's going to be automatic, and it's fine to leave it on automatic. But if you take a look at it, we're going to have 2 options. one a regular or a legacy repackager, very similar to our existing Discover, or if you guys are familiar with WinINSTALL LE. And then we also have a smart repackager. Smart repackager deals with MSIs. Historically, it's been an issue repackaging MSIs or Windows installer-based applications. I'm sure many of you guys have experienced that. For a 3,000-foot overview of why that is, we can take a look at the structure of an MSI in a raw, low-level editor like Orca. Actually, we'll take a look at Orca. An MSI is basically a database. And if you take a look inside of that database, there's a file table that cross-references with a directory table. And it's logically held together by these things called features. A feature would be like spell checker, or a piece of that application that, a feature of the application and actually does something. You can see that there is a feature table, and those features are made up by these components. Now the gotcha, and what's always kind of gotten repackagers, is these component IDs. They're basically their global unique identifiers or GUIDs. Everything is referenced by that. There's a GUID for the files, the directories, the features, and components for the most part. And when you repackage it with a legacy repackager, i.e. WinINSTALL LE or our old Discover module, we basically just wipe this database off the face of the earth and we built a brand new one. When you build a brand new one, you're making new features, new components, new GUIDs programmatically at random. So when your shortcut goes and needs to launch spell checker, or you launch a part of your program that needs to launch another internal feature, that component, that GUID is not there. Therefore, it breaks the package. You can even see by some of our shortcuts here. An MSI-based installer, for the most part, if it's built properly, it is not targeted to an actual file. It's targeted to a feature within that MSI. So that was one of the problems that we needed to solve, or that we wanted to solve in a more easier way. I know Microsoft uses transforms to package up their MSIs, and that's great. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. That's the Microsoft preferred way. We're going to do something slightly unorthodox, where we are going to preserve that original MSI and basically wrap it into our package. So when you actually build a package, an MSI package with a smart packager, in this case, the Adobe MSI for Adobe Acrobat Reader is preserved in its entirety and then basically just copied down to the target computer. I know it seems completely simple, but it was technology that we built from the ground up, and I'm just kind of giving you a nice high-level overview of it. All right, some of the other options that we have, and again, with 1.7, we had a major upgrade, and that was when we started the ability to detect assemblies. Historically, Visual C++ runtime environments and low-level system utilities like that kind of gave us a problem, especially if there was a lot of them inside of a package. We've completely fixed that, and that's why I was saying check your version, make sure it's at least 1.7, because 1.7 is a very, very stable build. All right, I can show off some of our other advanced options, such as digital signatures. Digital signatures, that if you want to sign your application or your package, great if it's going to leave the network and be deployed over the web, because you can absolutely verify that nobody has modified your package, meaning no one's added any spyware to it or malware or etc. We absolutely support that. It's not necessary. We have file exclusions. These are very similar to what we had before, but they're a little bit more robust. You can see we're not going to grab the recycle bin. We're not going to grab logs. And then we can have begins with, exact match, or contains for the exclusions themselves. To give you my experience, I hardly ever mess with these file exclusions. As long as you have a clean and quiet machine, everything seems to work out just fine. However, this next part is we're all kind of monkey around with a little bit, the registry exclusions. Let's say you build an MSI and it doesn't exactly work how you would expect it to work. Well, a lot of times, at least in my experience, is that there's some sort of device driver built into it. And if you want to give that another shot, you can come down here to HKey Local Machine System and then just grab all the system key and then just hit the X button and get rid of that, repackage your application. If it's a driver that we can pick up, a lot of times that will actually work, and all you have to do is clean up your package on the back end, which I'll show you and explain how to do as we go along. Another option you can do is just start from the top, go all the way down to the bottom and then get rid of all the registry keys, and then just be really, thorough when it comes to cleaning up the registry on the back end. All right, let's go ahead and say next, and then let's start the discovery, and let's go ahead and install Adobe Acrobat. My apologies if this takes a little bit of time. I'll try to fill up any dead air with useless Macs for you. But basically, I choose this because it is an MSI-based application, so it's going to show you the full Smart Packager Professional power, and I can kind of also explain what happens when we examine the package. We can set any preferences and settings that we would like. In this case, I'm going to say do not check for updates and so on. I can enter a license key, and I can delete, maybe add shortcuts. I can add in plugins or add-ons, and so on. All of this can be packaged up with our MSI. And the nice part about that is that it kind of sidesteps the need for your Microsoft Transform or even your Microsoft Patch. Since we're preserving that original database, we're going to kind of bundle that all together inside of one package. All right, let's go ahead and let that run for a second. It doesn't take too long to install, but throughout the years, Adobe Acrobat has gotten a little bit bigger. You know what? One other thing, if you take a look at the new versions have gone from about 150 megabyte download for the Smart Packager, and our developer that's in charge of this, Brian Friesen, has actually gotten the code down to 12.5 megabytes, which personally I just find impressive. I think he's no longer relying on outside code. He's basically written it all himself, and I think it really shows with the performance of the product. All right, we're almost done. Once this is done, I typically will open up the package and go ahead and set all your settings and preferences. However, I'm going to skip that step in the concerns of maximizing our time. But typically, I'd open the package, make sure it works, make all my settings and preferences, and gear it up for my end user. In this case, I'm just going to say stop discover. I'll say next. It'll analyze. And this is another cool part. This is where we're actually going to examine the MSI before it's created. And we're, just to reiterate the Smart Packager Professional, we're actually going to make two MSIs. This one is geared for the WinINSTALL MSI, the one that you're going to attach to WinINSTALL or whatever software deployment system that you want to use. This is going to actually install the application. Now, when we're looking at this, it's going to show us the files in a nice Windows Explorer view. When you're cleaning your package, it's really easy. Basically, take a look at your folders, like your program files folder, and then you see Adobe. Well, you don't have to expand Adobe because we know we're building in Adobe. Take a look at the common files, and again, we don't have to go any farther than Adobe. But basically, just open up your packages, and what you're looking for is something that has nothing to do with Adobe, something that has semantic endpoint protection or some sort of virus, antivirus, or anything that's making noise that was on your Discover machine. You can remove it from this process, and at that point, it will not be in your package, and your package will be clean before we ever actually create it. There won't be any footprints left over from deleting files after the fact. We can do the same for the modified keys. I can expand this. I can go into components, and well, actually, I take that back. I usually start with software because it's easier. And then you go in and take a look at all the different keys and just look for things that have nothing to do with the package. In this case, it's all pretty good. We can go through here. My rule of thumb, because especially when you get into the components or some of the other keys inside of the registry, it gets a little confusing. I've got a book here for reference, the Black Book of Registry, but when it comes down to it, if you haven't had to clean a lot of your package on the file end or in something a little bit more straightforward like the HK Local Machine software, then it's not really necessary to worry about any of the registry keys. You can feel safe that you've created a clean package. If you're deleting lots of things out of everywhere else, I'd go ahead and just delete that MSI and figure out why I'm getting so much noise and start over on a cleaner and quieter machine. One other tip when it comes to cleaning up your package after the fact, if you're not sure, and that happens all the time, if there's a key or a file in there and you're not really sure if that belongs into that package, go ahead and leave it in, and then just do a thorough test in a pilot group. And if there's going to be a problem, it should show up there. But that's basically how I go forward with building packages, and it's pretty much as easy as that. At that point, we can say next, and then if I say finish, it'll go ahead and create an MSI. And the concerns of everyone's time, I'm going to skip that. That part works fantastic. But let's go ahead and go into the WinInstall console here. And this is another part. A lot of times I'm talking to existing customers, and we do try to do that as much as possible. And I'll get in front of them, and I'll show them some of these things I'm about to show you. And these are the parts where they say, wow, I didn't realize WinInstall can do that. Well, that's going to make my life so much easier. And that's really the point of this webinar, is to show you guys some of the more cool stuff that WinInstall does. Now, the first thing I'm going to show you is logical conditions, and then how we can harness logical conditions to do a complicated multiple step install. We're going to use the example of upgrading Office 2003 to Office 13. It's just a template. You can take these same theories I'm going to show you and apply it to any process. But along the way, we're going to make sure that all the prerequisites are met. And if the prerequisites aren't there, we're going to install them dynamically. And then we're going to make sure that the right version of the software is being installed on the right system, i.e. 32-bit and 64-bit and so on. So first off, I'm going to make a list file, because this is going to be a multi-process or a multi-step process. So I want to contain all those steps. And the best way to do that is with our application list. I'm going to say New. I'm going to hit my Browse button here, and I'll go to my webinar folder, and I'll say Deploy Office 2013. All right, now I can come down here, and I have my list file. Now, the first thing that I want to do is I want to check for an older version of the software that's installed. Since we're using Office, I'm going to assume that it's Office 2003. Honestly, this is a template. You can use this with any application that you'd like. I'm going to right-click on it. I'm going to go to Properties and put this in my clipboard. It is just the package that I have. Now, I want to create a package that's going to uninstall Office 2003 when it installs. It's a little backwards, but then again, we're trying to process this into a nice combined step. Now, just FYI, it's not necessary. If you just want to uninstall an application, you can always drag and drop this, hit Next, and then do an uninstall job. That's no big deal, but we want this to happen while we're installing the later version. So what we can do is we can use our command line installer and harness that through one of the more powerful tools inside of WinInstall, which is an external process. I'm going to right-click, hit New, WinInstall Package, and then I'll go into my webinar folder because I want to keep this organized. And I'm going to say Remove Office 2003. Next, I'm going to click on my external process, and this is where we can harness in our command line installer. This is one of those tools that some users really harness and really understand, and other users they're not fully aware that we have this sort of power. So if we go into the bin directory and then go into WinInstall, it's right here, and it's the automatic installer. It just takes a couple of arguments. What package do you care about? In this case, it's my Office 2003. And what do you want to do? I want to remove it. Remove the package. There's more documentation on the audit command line installer inside of our manual. For the most part, it installs, removes, and reinstalls applications. I'm also going to put in a no prompt. Oops, I should spell it correctly. And that's just in case it decides to, do what computer programs like to do and prompt me for something useless, it'll kind of skip that and make sure everything stays nice and silent. All right, we'll say OK to that. Now, the next part about this is we don't want to remove Office 2003 on everybody because it's not going to be installed on everybody. If you're bringing up a brand new machine off of the UPS truck, well, it's clearly not going to have Office 2003 on it. So this is where we can take advantage, or at least harness, our logical conditions. I can click on my WinInstall condition, and there's multiple ways of doing this. I'm going to try to show you as many as I can through this webinar. I'm going to start with a simple software condition, about as simple as it gets. I'm going to click on Application, and I'm going to say, if this application is installed, and of course we have not installed for different scenarios. But I'll say, if this application is installed, and then I'm basically going to browse to my package. There's my Office 2003 package. Note the unique identifier. That's a global unique ID. It's a product code for the MSI. Going back to what we were talking about in our Smart Packager Professional part, it doesn't really matter how this was deployed. It's still that same Microsoft MSI. So it's going to recognize that product code. So if you installed it with an image or a GPO or even just hit setup.exe manually with SneakerNet, WinInstall is going to recognize that as Microsoft Office, and at that point pass the condition, and then hit our external process, and then remove it. So that takes care of our first step nice and dynamically. If Office 2003 is installed on that machine, we're going to find that, and then we're going to go ahead and uninstall it. Now, the next phase is to make sure that all our prerequisites are met. I'm going to take some poetic freedom here, and I'm going to say that we need Microsoft.NET 4.0. I've already built the package. I'm just kind of snapping it into my process. Now, I want to only install Microsoft.NET 4.0 if it's not installed. It's your typical prerequisite. If it's already installed, skip it and go to the next step. That we can handle by another one of our conditions. Last time we used a software condition. This time we can use a file condition. Same premise. If a file with a specified criteria does not exist or does exist, you can go ahead and pass or fail the condition. Now, in this case, I'm using a binary that I know Microsoft Framework 4.0 places down. You can see here's my condition, Windows, Microsoft.NET, Framework 4.0, and honestly, any executable or DLL file is going to be fine. Those are what I like to kind of target on or flag on because they're not really going to change. They're compiled and so on. So any binary inside of that directory should be okay. You can take it to the next level, and you can make sure that it's got a equal to a specific size or even date and timestamp. But generally, for your typical prerequisites, this is adequate. All right, now that we've got our old version removed and we have our prerequisites all met and and installed if necessary, let's go ahead and take a look at our different versions. We've got two versions now. A lot of people are in mixed environments, and we are looking at Microsoft Office. Where's Microsoft? And then Office 2003. We're looking at the 32-bit of Office, but we're also looking at the 64-bit of Office. And then there's my 64-bit version. Now, this needs to be dynamic as well. You as a WinInstall admin, you may or may not be standardized on 64-bit OSs. You might have a mixed environment, which is completely normal. Well, you don't want to deal with having to sort all that stuff out. WinInstall can kind of handle that on its own. And again, this is just a template for Office. You can take these, these same tricks and then apply them to different applications. Now, the next condition that I want to show you is system conditions. System conditions work quite well. I can go down to Windows Platform, hit Add, and then I can pull in all of my 32-bit operating systems. Windows XP 32-bit. I can, Windows 7 32-bit. And then, of course, we're actually starting to see these in the wild, Windows 8 32-bit, and so on. And then I can go down to my 64-bit. I can do the same. Oh, I thought I already did that. My apologies, but this won't take very long. I can do the same for my Windows XP machines. Windows 7 64-bit. And then, of course, good old Windows 8 64-bit. When I say we've seen them in the wild, I haven't seen any 32-bit Windows 8, but we are slowly starting to get Windows 8 64-bit. And at this point, we have taken logical conditions and then created kind of a multi-step dynamic install that's going to upgrade from an older version to a newer version. Now we can wrap this all into one nice clean package. I can go back up to all my machines in my network, and instead of worrying about what it is, does it have Office 2003? Does it have this prerequisite already met? Is it 32-bit or 64-bit? I can just drag this one particular list file, and at that point, my job is all wrapped up. And my install job is basically, it's now kind of dynamic, it's customized, and it should fit in no matter what the installer finds on the client end. Those are some of the neat stuff that we can do with WinINSTALL. Now, if we take those same techniques, we can apply them in other ways with other installers. One of the ways that I like is a simple startup list file. You can see I've got a startup list file here. This is kind of one of our installers that I think is really an awesome way of deploying applications. Very, very easy, that a lot of people don't really take advantage of. Now, when you consider some of the conditions that we have, we can apply those and put them together in a nice, efficient way. Now, we can start off with just the basic stuff with your startup list file. Where this really excels are what I call base applications. They're basically like readers or plugins and so on. You can see that we've got Adobe Reader, Java, runtime environment. I'm using conditions here. If it's 64-bit, it'll get my Java runtime 64-bit. If it's 32-bit, it'll get my 32-bit version, and so on. Flash and Shockwave. My clients like Semantic Endpoint, even the App Store, which we'll talk about next. That's a great way to get those kind of base applications out there. And it's as a side effect, you actually standardize on your base applications. If you need a specific version of Adobe Reader, i.e. you're a law firm, and that's very important, it's not a problem. You can just set it in your startup list file, and then in a couple of days, it'll be standardized across your entire network. If you need to standardize on a specific version of Java, like if you're running Chronos or another application that needs a very specific version of Java, you can standardize it with this particular list file. Now, with the system and file conditions, that's another thing, but we also have group and AD conditions. So we can take even the startup list file to the next level, and keep in mind these conditions can be applied to anywhere. Now, take this Jupiter High School list. This is some of my experience I've had with working for some of our school departments. They need to push out certain applications or to certain schools, or maybe high schools get an application, elementary schools get an application, or what have you. Now, we can tie in Active Directory conditions. You can see here that if I scroll down, go into my Austin, if I got my schools OU, and you can see I've got my different OUs for my different schools, and I've added in Jupiter High School, which is my old alma mater high school back in good old Florida. This way, we can have a global startup list file. However, any applications that are in the Jupiter High School list file are only going to install at that location. Depending on how detailed your Active Directory structure is, you can get very detailed. I know we've got some schools that every classroom has their own group or their own OU. We can queue this in off of objects or OUs or even security groups or global groups or anything that you can think of inside of your Active Directory. And this way I can get my Math Lab 2013 out to Jupiter High School or whatever that's going to work. That is yet another great way of using logical conditions and then making the deployment phase of WinINSTALL a bit easier. Now, there's another trick that I want to show you that even kind of ties in with these group conditions, and that's what we kind of call an app store. I don't know if we can, call it an app store, but it's their interactive installer. But basically, what this will do is it puts down a shortcut. It's going to put it in my start menu, and it is basically just referencing a specific list file. And you can see here that I've got my list file up here. And this is a way to advertise or basically show or present applications for your end users to allow them to install. Before we get into that, I just want to make it clear they do not have to be local admin rights to install this. If we take a look at, say, the Adobe here, and then I go to Shared and then Runtime, we have Allowed Privileged Elevation. You check this off, and there's another setting or two inside of the agent settings. The end users, it's going to appear to them that they are installing or removing these applications. They're kicking off the jobs. But in reality, they're just telling the agent to do it, and then the agent is actually installing or uninstalling the jobs. But if it fits your environment, and I understand in some scenarios the end users really can't, or they, it's not a good idea for them to install the applications or so on. But if it fits your environment, this is a great option. Let me show you how that what it would look like. If I go into All Programs, and then here is my shortcut, and again, we can make that shortcut look like anything you'd like. We can place it anywhere that you want. This is just kind of my default. But it'll open up my App Store. And then here I can see all my one-off applications, and this is where this particular installer excels. At least I call them one-off. Stuff like Microsoft Visio or Adobe Acrobat or Photoshop or Project. Those fairly expensive applications that are task-specific, and they're only going to go to certain people. Well, if you don't want to deploy those out, you can just basically allow them to install it. And I'll show you where you give them permissions in a second. Another outstanding thing is those base applications. Well, maybe there's some base applications that you don't want to push out to everybody, i.e. Microsoft Silverlight. Maybe there's a department or a group or a person in your environment that needs to watch an online movie, and they need Microsoft Silverlight to watch it. Well, you can publish that, and that way if they need something weird like that, just train them to open up the shortcut, and then they can go ahead and click on it and install it and all that other good stuff. Now, the other problem that we're going to have, and then I guess the shortcoming that you can see with this, is that you don't want everybody to see Microsoft Visio or Adobe Photoshop. Everybody that's going to install Photoshop if they can. So what we can do is I'm going to go ahead and close this, and then we'll go to Photoshop, and we'll go down here to WinINSTALL Conditions, and then Group Conditions. Well, I can go ahead and expand my Active Directory, and I can say, all right, well, I only want this user to install it on, and then I can choose my laptop, on this laptop. And that way, it's very specific. You can control what users can install it and on what computers it can be installed on, so you can really lock it down and then not overextend your licenses. And on vice versa, to show you what it looks like the other way, I'll go ahead and save this. And we'll go ahead to Microsoft Acrobat, and I'll do a similar condition, but I won't set myself into that condition. I'll set it for Joe. I'll say Joe can install this, but only Joe. And then we'll do the same for Project here. Let's see, where was I? Conditions, and then Groups, and then Active Directory, and then we'll do Joe again. And now if I open up my interactive installer, all right, did I click no or something? Where did it go? Yes. It'll come up here in a second, but you'll see that the packages that I am approved to install will be there. What's going on here? That's it. My apologies. I guess it's Murphy's Law. But it will come up and then basically show me that there it is. It's just taking its time. it'll show only the applications that I'm allowed to install, and then the ones that I'm not allowed to install, i.e. Adobe Acrobat and Project, are completely invisible to me. I don't see them, therefore I can't really complain and then request them and so on. Again, that's a very effective means of software deployment, and these are some of the things where I stand up in front of people. I usually get a little bit of a wow response saying, wow, I wasn't really sure that WinINSTALL can do that. If you guys want any more feedback or even to talk to me directly, everyone has my contact info, and if not, it will be on a PowerPoint slide, I'm sure. But I'm going to go ahead and turn this back over to Brad.
All right, okay. Well, thank you, Jeff. So we hope you found this to be helpful and worthwhile. There are a myriad of subjects that we can cover in future sessions, so I definitely welcome your suggestions. As a side note, we do offer custom training services as well, both on-site and remote. So if you have a need for specific topics and want some additional time with Jeff or some of our other consultants to walk through best practices or how to, and please reach out to me. A couple other notes as you see on the screen. The help desk and support is available at support@scalable.com. We also have released a new support portal that we are actively updating every day as well. So I'm not sure the links for the products are up yet, but that is in process. And then again, this is my contact information, so feel free to reach out to me with any questions, comments, etc. So we do have some extra time here. If there are any other additional questions that we can answer, if you want to submit those through the window there, we'll give it a few minutes to see if anything else comes up. Don't see anything coming across here, so otherwise, we really do appreciate your participation today, and thank you for your business. And if there are no other questions or comments, oh, I think we might have just gotten one here. Let's see. Okay, John. Yes, definitely we'll do that. And I think what we may do, just to make it easy, we will send out an announcement with those links. And again, we'll make sure that those are available on the website as well as soon as possible. You will require a separate license key. I think that was one of the previous questions if not everyone saw that one. So the Smart Packager is a separate install that requires a separate license key. However, it is available to you with your maintenance agreement. And so as you have the need, there are a couple ways you can sign up for it through our website, or again, just reach out to me and I can get you the links and the keys associated with that. So if there are no other questions, then we thank you again and have a great rest of your day.